Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make these beautiful metal roses that your wife or girlfriend will love forever. They're very simple to make and you can make one for about 10 bucks. Very simple. I'm going to show you how to do it. So most of you are probably a better drawer than I am, but basically you get a piece of sheet metal like this for like $7 from Home Depot. I cut a little chip out of a piece to use as a template. I found out over the years that a guitar pick works great for this job. Like I said, most of you are probably better draws than I am, so you could probably make yours a lot nicer than mine, but they're beautiful. So the center hole here, I use a washer or a dime just to get the circle. Now, depending on the size flower you want to make, whether it's a big one like this pink one or a nice small one like the black or the blue or the red, depends on how big you make your circle here. And then you draw your petals around it. If you want to add some design to it, you're more than welcome to. This is just a basic design that I came up with. If you want to do something, with your leaves like this, kind of like a heart shape, you can do that as well. There's a lot of options. But the bigger the rose you make, the bigger this whole thing here is going to be, including the circle here in the middle. Like I said, I just went with a small one. You make 3 of these, 3 separate flowers or whatever you want to call them. Basically, it's something like this. Three of these or even 4 of those. And then make a piece for the bottom, which is going to be your leaves. Like the green leaves on the rose. And you buy this 1/8 rod from Home Depot. As you can see, it's pretty long for $2. I cut it to about 10 inches maybe for this particular flower. And then you need a couple 1/8 inch stainless steel square nuts. And I'll show you what those are for. So once you get your pattern drawn out, like I said, you'll have 3 of these on your piece of sheet metal here. You cut them out with a pair of snips. They work great for cutting around corners. But let me remind you, please be very careful because this is sheet metal and it is razor sharp. As you can see, I already cut my finger already. So after you get those 3 cut out, it looks something like this. You drill a hole in big enough for that 1/8 rod that it's going to fit right through it. But something like this. And then I just took a piece of rough sandpaper and just to go around the sharp corners of it to get all the sharp ones away so I don't cut my fingers as I'm building this. So we start off with a nut at the bottom. And then, as I stated, you cut out your leaf part, which is going to be the leaves on the flower, on the rose, the green part. You can paint these whatever color you like. They're very beautiful. And believe me, if you make this for your wife or your girlfriend, they're going to love it because you took the time to do it. And it's something that's going to last forever. I came up with this idea about 10 years ago. I was doing a welding class and I made a rose for a girl I was dating back then who I was in love with very much. Unfortunately, our relationship didn't work out, which is too bad. And she absolutely loved that rose. And over the years, I've made several others. And then you can bend it, put little bends in the leaves, whatever you want to do to it. And then once you get your pieces cut out, you got to drill a hole in the middle, like I said, so it fits through this rod. You can arrange them however you like, all 3 together. Just kind of keep them, everything. You don't want them all the same, going in the same direction. Cover the gaps on each particular flower. I always just put the big one on the bottom first and get that screwed in, and then go to the next one. And once you get these in place, you can go and separate them however you want to before you start bending and turning and forming the actual rose petals themselves, which is very cool and very, very easy. So now I got 2 on plus the bottom of the rose. And here's the last final piece. This one's going to be kind of a small rose. So you get them all screwed on in there. It looks something like this. And then you take another little nut in your little 4-pack package, which is going to allow you to make 2 roses. And you want to have the screw on top and here on the bottom. I'm going to tighten this down real good so when I come to bending, it doesn't turn or move on me. And that's what holds your roses together. You won't see them once you start making your flowers. You're not going to see this little nut that's inside or at the bottom. It'll all be hidden. So I'm getting it nice and tight right now. Because once you bend the rose, you can't go back and adjust the top portion of the nut. You can't go back and adjust it. So I always do it nice and tight in the very beginning, and then I can work it with the bottom one to make it even tighter. So you see, I left like a little 1/8 on the tip here. It's nice and tight, and then you can still turn these a little bit. A little tough, but you can still turn them a tad bit if you have to. You can unloosen the bottom just a little bit, come down a couple of threads, and it'll allow you to turn this in the direction you want to turn. So now we're going to bend up the first 4 petals, just like this. We're going to bend them up, and we're going to start folding the petals over, which is going to form the petals. I got these little jewelry, it's kind of like needle nose pliers here that I use, and you just come and you start bending the petal whichever way you want to. We're going to form the very inner bud of an actual rose. So it's kind of like a U what I'm doing here. Once I get this up, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Something like that. You just fold the corners over for right now, and then you come to the other one across, the one right next to it, and you fold those over, or inwards. I'm sorry, not outwards, inwards. We're not going to do outwards on this one yet. This is, like I said, this is the middle bud of the actual rose itself. Fold that over, and you can get another pair of pliers and squeeze it, make everything come together, and you'll see that it actually starts forming a little rosebud in the center, which looks really good. Let's see that. That's how we got the first little rosebud going. Okay, now you go to your next one, and you start doing the exact same thing. You start bending it over, but you don't go all the way over like you did with the first 2 to create the actual rosebud. You follow that process with each and every one of the roses. See how it's forming the rose petals now? Now we're on to the second one. You can start with any one you want, any of the 4. Get them up. Start bending them over slightly so they go around the center one. With each bend, you go smaller and smaller each time. They're not as tight. You can make them as tight as you want, but we're not going as tight as we did on the other ones. And always, if you start on this one first, go to the one across. Or if you start this one, go to the next one, straight across. It'll work out. It'll be just a lot easier for you when you start bending, so you don't lose track. That way you have them all in order. And as you can see, it's starting to come together like a rose. You can paint these any color, or you can leave them just this beautiful stainless steel or aluminum or sheet metal color, and that is very pretty as well. Like I said, your girl or your wife will absolutely love these roses because she'll have them forever. And the fact that you took the time to actually make it for her is what they're really going to enjoy. And if you're like me, a man, and I enjoy doing stuff like this, I come up with new projects all the time just to keep myself busy, and I do work a full-time job, but I like to tinker around. So as you can see, the rose is coming out beautiful. Now we're on to the last set of petals that we got to bend, and I'll show you what I do to these ones. So I'm gonna follow the same process as I did in the other ones. Bend them inwards a little bit, just like this. But then I add a little twist to it, and I turn some of the petals backwards, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. Let me get a couple of these done, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And it adds definition to your petals and your flower. It makes them look like they're actually real life, like it's a real rose. It's crazy how it turns out. It's beautiful. Again, this is a very simple project to do. It doesn't take long at all. Like I said, once you figure out a pattern for your petals, like I said, guitar pick works great. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't know what happened to it. But you can just draw your own petals, and I'm sure some of you are incredible drawers. And as you can see, the rose is starting to form now. We're almost done. We got a couple more bends, and we'll start giving it the full rose effect with the right bends and stuff. As you go outwards with each layer, the actual bends become smaller and smaller, like this one here. In the very beginning, we're bending them all the way in, but as you go out, like I'm doing here, the bends get shorter and shorter as you go outwards. And there you go. You have a beautiful handmade rose. These little ones on here will be your green leaves. If you want, you can get a pair of channel locks and tighten it all up to your size. If you want it to be like a blooming rose, or a nice tight rose, you can do that. But there you have it. It's a beautiful rose. And then when you're all done, you come back to the bottom and you tighten up this bottom one here that you loosened up so you can adjust your petals. And once you paint it, this will not move at all. It keeps the whole rose together, and you can't even see the one you did in the middle. I only put 3 leaves down here. You can do as many as you want, 4 or 5, whatever. But there you go. And then if you really want to get fancy, you can take your needle nose pliers and you can get on the tip part here, and you can bend it back a little bit, like fold the leaf back a little bit where it looks like, like the wind blew it a little bit, or for like 3D. Like this right here, how I did that. See, I just bent it back just a tiny bit, and it gives it dimension, and it's really pretty. It looks good, just like a real rose. You bend a couple back. You don't have to do all of them. You can if you want to. Everybody, I'm sure, is going to have their own preference on how they want to do it. I do it to a couple of them, and it just actually makes the flower look more like a real rose. And guys, that's it. There you have it. You can paint this any color you like. This one's probably going to be purple. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. And let me know if there's something you want to see built, because I love building new things. I love building anything. And I try to build just about anything. So, again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.